Someone was asking me, do I have any Ravagers for you to milk? No. I don't know how you would milk a Ravager. Also, just a heads up, click that Twitch Prime sub, that sub button. I see that sub badge. I'm going to be more likely to take that not as you being super weird, even though it's the 4th time you've asked it in chat today. And that's why I finally answered it, whoever that was. I've lost it now, but I'm like, what are you? No, you can't milk a Ravager. But you guys should totally click the Twitch Prime sub button. Let's do it. Thank you, everybody, for the support. We've had massive support recently. But please, if you're not already, !multi. We have a lovely multi view. So when I get really shitty observing, you can watch on Maynarde's view. When you get sick of me screeching into my mic, you can go to Maynarde's beautiful audio setup and listen there. So give Maynarde's link a click in chat. Give the multi a link. And big thank you to those who have gone above and beyond with supporting today. Obviously, we aren't paid to cast this, but it is the highlight of our week. It starts things off after the weekend where we don't need to worry about losing ladder games repeatedly. We just get to watch some people far better than us and have some fun and hopefully share that joy with you guys. So thank you everybody who's gone above and beyond. We really appreciate it. And let's enjoy the hell out of some StarCraft as we get closer and closer to those semifinals.
And we are getting amongst it, friends. In the bottom right with the pool first from Raise Your Edge Gaming in Ukraine, it is Bly.
And up here in the top left-hand side in the red, representing Team Liquid, it is uThermal.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, it's interesting. So I've been thinking recently. So I've been really struggling with my TVZ for a long time. And I went back to doing gas first just the other day. And I just killed the first player I played with like my Hellion Reaper Harass. Just because it hits like 15 seconds faster and you still have an expansion. And it's like a little bit of a riskier opening. But I remember it was the meta for a long time, like 2017, for, you know, a long time in the early days of Legacy, the early years even. People were loving the gas first, the earlier factory and that sort of stuff. More recently, we've seen Terran really crave stability, I feel. And it's so common in so many matchups to do the barracks into the gas, to SCV scout almost every game, to really love going into that third command center. And obviously it's because Terran players are just so good at their macro now, and they're so consistent with that. And it's probably also because they feel their opponents have gotten better at defending all the different things they can do. But I do feel like there's a place for gas first, and I think we don't see it enough. I think the Zergs have almost no practice against that variety of builds. And I'm just kind of like theorizing and theory crafting in my head like, hey, when should that come out? Should this just be something people always bring out in a best of 5 sometime just to do heavier Hellion Reaper Arrest, especially on the maps with these big spread out gaps between the bases? It seems crazy to me that we're not seeing as many players like double down on non-stop Hellion production from really early in the game.
Reaper rolls around here and gets a little bit of a look-see. How do you feel about this early bunker from uThermal? Is he expecting, I mean, is this ultimate safety against Bly because you just don't know until the Reaper gives you the information?
Yeah, that's actually insanely safe how fast that is, right? But I guess he's just saying, look, there's a chance I missed another 4 Zerglings running out. So there's like 8 Lings rock up and kill my Marines and just disrupt me. Roaches can always sneak past the Reaper if you're not watching the front for like 1 second. So he's just like, screw it. We'll just be 100% safe here. You know, even though he scouted the main, as soon as he left the natural earlier, there could have been a Roach Warren put down on the edge of creep. And he's just kind of being mega safe. 2 Marines building at a time as well right now, rather than Hellions. Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, he feels very afraid here of what Bly is doing. I mean, it is Bly, but this is so conservative from uThermal. He also has the starport next to the tech lab, and he's going for Cyclone. He is smelling something here.
Medevac.
I mean, it is a 2-base lair.
Show me a Medevac. I want to see a Cyclone 4 Marine drop. Give it to me, uThermal. It's like actually...
Give it to me, Thermy.
It's actually sick for picking off creep, picking off overlords on the map. So yeah, Medevac does start up. Yeah. So this is the ultimately flexible toolkit for a Terran where it's not the sharpest pressure. Oh, good micro here for Bly. Look at that. Very cute.
That's really cute. Very cute.
But yeah, it's a cool toolkit. Like I love this. If I have to defend a Roach pressure or Ravager pressure, I like to counterattack with a Cyclone and 4 Marines in a Medevac. uThermal actually building a second Cyclone. That makes me think he wants to go Battle Mech here for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Third CC goes down.
I mean, hasn't grabbed that third gas just yet. The plus, oh, what a scan. Sees the Spire in the natural.
Ooh.
The plus side of what uThermal's doing is not only, like you mentioned, he has that utility to clean up creep, is that he is pretty safe against like roach attacks and a lot of Ling all-ins. Just with like the bunker, the factory giving you access to the splash damage as well. Cyclones, just in case it is Ravages. Also, Cyclones are a very good early game anti-muta thing until there's too many mutas.
And he was really thinking about it a bit. uThermal a bit indecisive there. He's like, because I think he did really want to go mech. But then he was like, and he eventually went, nah, go in the barracks. We're going to get 3 barracks, stim up, and just, I feel more comfortable with the double upgrades against this. He's looking for the snipe on the third. So this is another really cool thing that double Cyclone can do. The double lock-on does 800 damage over 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love the positioning on those Cyclones. I don't think he'll be able to get it though.
Oh, one more shockwave. Doesn't quite have enough with that lock-on breaking on the second Cyclone. The other one was also about to run out, so he would not have gotten that hatchery. He would have lost both of those units. So uThermal loses one, keeps the other one alive for now. Cool strat. I mean, that third is going to pop with a lot less hit points. Of course, the mutas are coming out now for Bly. 9 of them on the way. uThermal did scan and did see the Spire, so he is, well, should be prepared against them. He hasn't made his turrets just yet.
Oh, he wants to get the third down immediately. Ooh.
Okay.
Brave Thermal. Mad Mark. We call him that for a reason. He says, look, if I can defend this, like, this pressures the Zerg, right? There's different types of pressure in StarCraft. There is, I rush 2 base muta, I've got this scary mobile harassment unit, and you're just going to land your third in the face of that? Holy crap, I gotta do something. I gotta slow that down. I gotta do some damage. This pushes Bly to get aggressive here. Is it an overextension from uThermal, or can he handle it? Turrets finishing up in the main, the third base not done just yet.
Just like my mother only needs half a champagne to start dancing, Bly only needs a tiny little push to start getting aggressive. He was
Lings in the
already
natural.
halfway there anyway.
Oh, uThermal's multitask failing just a little bit there as those Lings tear up the natural expand. Oh, uThermal hasn't noticed it.
Oh, he's missed it. Yeah.
No.
There we go. Man, that's so many SCVs. 11 SCVs going down. The Marines eventually get on it, but they are very late to it. And the mutas even grabbing a few SCVs on the cusp patches here outside the range of that turret. 14 SCVs worth of damage. And even though Bly hurt his economy to go for a faster tech, he's actually managed to really look solid here after all that damage. It's really paid for itself.
Gets the turret on the third base as well. This is so frustrating. And stims all the Marines. Guess what? There's only one medevac out right now. It's going to struggle to keep all these units up. Bly behind this, 50 drones, is taking 2 more gases on the third. Has a macro hatch starting up. Carapace on the way. +1 flyer attacks on the way. Mixture of drones, banelings, mutas. So these banelings are going to try to roll into that third base, but there is a tank covering it. And uThermal with good Marine spotter on the north side. He's very well set up. He should be able to avoid the damage. The mutas are going to maybe look for a tank snipe.
Yeah, they really do want that tank. I mean, the depot is okay, but they just do a little bit of hit point damage there. And Bly is getting that Carapace upgrade. Another Evo as well to switch into Ling Bane Muta.
Yeah.
So many mutas already for the Zerg. 13 at the moment. Feels like a ton.
Oh, he gets the tank. Pulls back the
Nicely
first
done.
muta that gets focused. That was a good little muta dance from Bly.
Certainly is. A little bit of a bait there from the mutas. Oh, nearly gets the muta, not quite. 1-1 about to be done here for the Terran. And uThermal does have a good number of Marines. It feels like he's a little bit light on medevacs, though. Okay, medevacs can't pop out now.
Drop does start to slide down the bottom side. He wants to pull the mutas away. The mutas have said, you know what? There's enough of us now. We don't care about that turret. Gets in there still. None of these mutas going down except for that very first one to the early Cyclone. And this is just excellent play from Bly. Finding damage all over the place. Those Banelings still waiting for Bane speed to be done before they try to hit that mineral line one more time. Of course, they could potentially ambush Marines that stim up there to chase the mutas as well. But here we go. Mark, a single dropship, says, oi, get home, defend this, deal with this, take the pressure off my back. Let's give me a bit of room. Already the 2-2 so delayed out of uThermal. And this Marine, a crucial maneuver.
Having +2 Carapace on the way before the Terran starts 2-2 is a bad upgrade situation for the Terran. They're usually always ahead upgrades. Those mutas are obviously going to clean this up. The Nedevac's been picked off. The Marines will go down. They take 4 drones with them, but uThermal also lost 6 SCVs back at home to those Banelings of Bly. And another
And
wave
there's
of them
more.
heading in.
Ooh, I like that. 2 separate waves. A drop on the north side now. uThermal's the guy who will keep looking for those single drop ships. He finds they're so important. He says, look, I know this Zerg is just trying to strangle me by having everything on the front. 16 more drones and instantly saturated 4th base here for Bly as he chooses to do that. Melee, carapace, +2 flyer attack. 6 more mutas on the way. The banelings come in. Can they find that clump in the mineral line?
They've gotten 6, 8 so far, and uThermal a little bit late to pull those SCVs back. Really thought his SimCity and his tank splash damage would do it, but it didn't actually manage to mitigate enough damage there. 8 SCV hits, and Bly is on 80 workers on his side of the map. He looks so solid at the moment. uThermal, he is heading towards Thor. He is heading towards Drilling Claws. I feel like when you have those two things against this unit comp of the Zerg, you can still take an engagement, but it's very, very, very rough for him at the moment as far as economy goes versus the Zerg.
Yeah, still no hive in sight. It is just Lingbane Muta, but against the 57 SCV Terran, as you said, 77 drones, a fantastic count. The creep spreading its way across the map and starting to choke out the Terran. I think at this point, Bly just needs to make sure he keeps shutting down these drops. Each one is very efficient for Bly as a cleanup, but it does lose him a little bit of momentum, and the Drilling Claws, the 2-2, the Thors being added in. These are the things that uThermal's trying to buy time for here. He knows that if he can fight max versus max, a biomine spread, 1 or 2 Thors to wreck the mutas, and there's no ultras out or vipers or anything like that, like he can crush Lingbane Muta. The thing is, there's still so much creep spread, and that scares me. How do you force this fight? These drops still aren't doing massive damage. Bly's still in full control over this, and he is starting to work towards that hive tech.
Yeah, starting to get there. Is also getting +2 attack for these mutas as well, so they're going to be a little bit of extra DPS. The potential to cut through Thors and not give a shit about like small amounts of Widow Mines and that sort of thing, and just dive on them with an Overseer and burn them down, even with Drilling Claws. Oh, I like this Widow Mine drop from uThermal. I like the Terrans to be doing this more.
Yeah, it's such a good move, dude. They just burrow so quickly. And there's actually some really cool micro techniques the Terrans have been using where they're like boxing and tabbing and burrowing quickly to instantly burrow those Widow Mines, like all sorts of weird little micro techniques. Bit of a spiky spike there as these mutas do come on in, and hopefully the players can't feel that, as of course internet infrastructure around the world, Battle.net servers, and a whole bunch of else has all been struggling. Lingbane on top of the mine drop, and Banelings.
Potentially great, potentially not great, depending on where they are.
Oh.
Yeah, Overseers are up for Bly, so you should be able to get some DPS down, but some of these Widow Mines are going to burrow. No, they actually get DPS down before they fire. I mean,
so close.
So a good deflection from Bly. It just seems like he just has so many units. uThermal is up in army supply at the moment, though, and he does have those 2-2 upgrades, and even +1 armor about to finish for the medevacs and for the Thors and for the mines. So he is gearing up for that push. It's about to kick in.
60 SCVs, 4th command center. Burrow now starting up. Overlord speed's already there. A few Widow Mines placed out. You can tell uThermal, I've talked about it many times. Bly, often even in games where he's actually behind against uThermal's big push comes, gets surrounded on creep, absolutely wrecked. Or Banelings and Lings wreck his Widow Mines, his economy behind it at the same time. So uThermal, you can tell, is kind of turtling up, and I think he's just going to try to force this one to the later stage and avoid that situation that Bly has defeated him in so many times before.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think just taking it to the late game and just trying to force the Zerg to go to that tier 3 and rely on that tier 3 while trying to get those 3-3 upgrades up and getting that late game armies. Maybe uThermal feels like his late game is better than Bly. And Zerg late game isn't what it used to be. Fungal there. Oh. Line of Marines. The Baneling's going to connect as a result. And another Fungal on the back line of Marines. That base is going to be lifted and get on out of there.
That's a lovely trade. I love the Infestors with a run by. That's so sick. So I think Bly here is realizing, hey, you're being so defensive, you're just splitting your army across multiple areas, and you're going to rely on efficiency to beat me. Okay, well, guess what? You know what you're not ready for with those little squads of Marines? Usually you can just stim them at the Lingbane run-by and deal with it. You add a big Fungal in there, and suddenly uThermal, the map becomes a scarier place now. He goes, where's Fungal going to come from? There could be Infestors hanging around. He's got a scan ahead. He's got a pre-spread. A Lingbane Muta on the north side. The third base getting ravaged.
Yeah, third base is actually forfeit here. Those mutas cannot be dealt with by uThermal. His army is all to the south, and he's putting a lot of his eggs into this basket here. This has to do big counter damage to Bly. Big Marine Ball. He's got a couple Widow Mines, but not that many. He's going to have to rely on good control and also these 4 Thors to get rid of the mutas when they come down to the south.
This base isn't important for Bly, but he's just trying to buy time there. Notice how the Thors come forward first of all. The Lings are actually going to try to take out some of these Thors. They do get one of them, another one deep in the orange. Back at home, the mutas have not done that well. There's only one Widow Mine guarding this base, though. If they can stop these turrets, that's the last bit of uThermal's economy.
It certainly is. He needed that base really badly here. Bly still has more bases to mine from. He's still good on this low ground hatchery. That Thor on the front line going to go down. uThermal's Marines in a different position here, so the Thor's a little exposed. Bly is bringing in the Infestors. He's got Ultras, and he comes here with the Ultras. Running into a Thor, though. That Ultra's going to go down pretty quickly. More on the backside, just buying time for these Banelings.
Yeah, there is so much Zerg here. He doesn't even need to hold this position to be ahead in this game, but he holds it, and just flying colors there for Bly. The 2-base muter, he's been so good at it recently, and just takes all the momentum out of the Terran player's sails. Terran would love to have 3-base versus 3-base. Harass, go down the set path and get those parade pushes going, but Bly doesn't let him get there, forces him down a weird path, and it really did feel to me like uThermal lost a bit of momentum, wanting to go Mech, but then not feeling good with Mech versus 2-base muter. So maybe something that Bly even said, you know what, I think you're going to go Mech here. I think 2-base muter is really good against Mech, maybe. I feel like that's a thing a pro Zerg has said before, or a pro Terran, I'm not sure. and kind of counters the style before it happens, forces uThermal into bio.
A wild game, with Bly kind of dictating the flow and deciding how that game was going to look. The drop play and all that's from uThermal, the standard Terran stuff. When you're pinned up against the wall, Terrans are like, well, we got to slow down the Zerg somehow. Let's load up medevacs and go for it. Bly knows it more than anyone, and he's going to just smack those drops with his insane unit count. I get so nervous, though, when I see a Zerg attack into Drilling Claws Widow Mines with their entire Lingbane force that gets one shot by one Widow Mine. I always get the heart up in my throat a little bit, but Bly just knows. He's like, no, I'll have enough to kill these Widow Mines. I have Overseers, I'm good.
Yeah, and I mean, he just spread him out so well as well, right? Like Bly was often going in with, like, it looked like his whole army, but he always had Morlings and Banes popping out and Ultras rallying behind it. So it was kind of like a staged... Sorry, have they gone into the game?
No.
Okay, I'm like, this should be up by now. What the fuck? Okay. I'm like, am I disconnected and I can't see the thing? I already am. My webcam is wobbling. My stream can see it from the table being a bit unstable.
My desk has become it's got an extra stand. It's on a tripod.
It's a five desk leg now. One of them's a bit
beast.
a bit higher than the other. Golden Wall next map. That's gonna be sick.
I mean, we saw Golden Wall with uThermal and Jim Rising, and that was wild. Bly, I feel like, does it get more wild than 2-base Swarm Hosts against a pro gamer on Golden Wall? Does it get more crazy than that?
That was insane. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think that'll be Bly's style. It's also something you wouldn't want to do when uThermal's just played against it, and he's probably going to be so mentally prepared for that strategy now that he's got a repetition against it, and it's probably all he needs. I think, just stabbing across the map earlier with drops and microing them well, definitely very important. Thank you so much, chat, by the way. Massive thanks to Letters, True Edge, Maru, Shinitam, and Keybrit, who have all just been steadily escalating the gifted subs. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. Welcome everyone who's gotten themselves a sub, and much love for hanging out. We're getting into game 2 right now.
Certainly are.
Any shout-outs for the main army?
Yeah, no, definitely. Shout out to Ghost Buns, who made me realize that because a platypus lays eggs and produces its own milk, it could hypothetically make its own custard.
Wow.
No, there's actually a ton of sub support and just wonderfulness from the chat in general, just chat being great. Too many to shout out. I type in response to people when they do it, so I'm all good.
All right.
But yeah, thank you to everyone that's shown support. It's been incredible. It's really, really awesome to be so close to 900. So close to 900 in the main army. That's
900.
Been a long time since we've been there, man. And that was pretty much off the back of just Kybrit going crazy. So this is a joint effort. So
4.5.
Lovely to see.
4.5 maxed armies. Help get him there, guys.
That's right.
We'll see if this game can get to maxed armies. This man doesn't often let it get to that point. Loves forcing the chess match in StarCraft. He likes countering things with different units. Not as big of a fan of the mechanical kind of just see who can micro and macro better. And he's all about the tactics, the maneuvers, the strategy. It is Raise Your Edge Gaming's Bly.
Certainly is well spotted on the far right here from Team Liquid. It is uThermal. And speaking of Team Liquid, very excited to see that they are, just the Team Liquid players in general, doing really, really well for the TSL qualifiers, considering it's the Team Liquid tournament. It's really, really cool to see, Mana, TLO, Clem, all these guys just kicking ass in the TSL 5 qualifiers. It's good.
It's really cool. I'm very excited. It's good to have a lot of online content going. We can only get carried by Wardy for so long by tournaments that he specifically organizes, so it's nice to have other people run tournaments and let him cast them.
Like, even if the thing with StarCraft is, yes, it's a 10-year-old game, and while a bunch of the uninformed monkeys out there think that it's a dead game, the rest of us know better. And even if you stream for 24 hours a day, which Wardy is very capable of, he still doesn't have enough hours to cover all the tournaments. So eventually some of us are going to have to chip in.
At some point, yeah. For me, I am one of those people who doesn't actually support a cause through actions, monetary, emotional support. I literally just like to virtue signal. So I have Wardy's portrait up on my profile, and that's all I do. You know, I get to pretend I'm part of supporting the kind of more, you know, grassroots, I guess, non-big tournament esports scene, the online scene, without actually having to do anything. So for me, it really matches my ethics and overall just kind of, you know, worldview.
My chat is destroying me right now.
I'm like, look what's going on over there, Manny. It's like, people are saying, wait, funny things or dumb things? Like, are we talking stupidity or awesomeness?
Like, I had a response to what you were going to say, and then I look over and one of my moderators says, nut milk is delicious. And because I'm 12 in my brain, like, obviously my body continues to age, but my brain just hard stopped at 12.
Oh yes.
It is distracting. I'm like, I had a response, I had a discourse for you, but it's gone. I'm sorry. I've erased everything you just said.
No, it's fine.
I'm sure it was eloquent. I'm sure it was to the point. Good job, Pig.
Well, this is every day, dude. Like, nuts are my favorite snack. I eat a lot of nuts at the moment. I haven't been eating. I've been eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of nuts, not as much meat, just because it's convenient and it's easy.
Please stop.
But basically, every time I go to get a snack, I say it out loud. I go, I'm gonna go put some nuts in my mouth, or I'm gonna have some salted nuts that are gonna taste good in my mouth. There's always something. And as the words come out, I hear them and I instantly like giggle uncontrollably. He's doing the 1-1-1. He's doing the old school 1-1-1. The Beastie Cutie / Kumiho build. Oh my god. Is he going to add a Widowmine to it? Okay, so he's going to do the 16 Marine or 15 Marine version of it. No, he's adding the Widowmine. Yes. Oh, so old school. I wonder if he follows up with a double lib. This is an old school opening. uThermal, I'm so proud of you. Someone in my chat who's an old school Pig Daily Terran fan, go find the number of this. This is the one where Gumiho literally just killed DRG. DRG was like, I'm back,
was there
guys.
A fusion core involved?
There was no fusion core, so this is the next level. This is the next level. But he's going to go lib still? No, it will be BC afterwards. This is sick. This transitions into mech really well. This is awesome. But it makes your opponent feel like they're up against bio because you hit with this insanely fast drop. Now, to be real, if you execute it properly, you're meant to already be unloaded at their third base. So, uThermal, just saying, 435, you're meant to be fighting. Fix your build, mate.
Bly's Overlord sees that fusion core, so he has been making a lot of early roaches, so it feels like as far as the defensive force goes, Bly has it. But this Widowmine does complicate things. All these Marines are unloaded. It's going to tank it with that Queen. She takes one for the team there, letting those roaches and the other two Queens stay healthy.
Oh, going for the Queens. He goes for the dive. Very ambitious. I don't think that's the right call. I think Bly there deals with that very well. Takes out a few Marines, damages the medevacs a little bit. And it really is the continual pressure with these medevacs that allows this to be good. Same with the 2-1-1. You want to keep this pressure up. Notice we've already done a drop and rotating to a new attack angle before a 2-1-1 would have even stemmed in. Third CC is on the way, a BC behind it. This is a funky, cool opening. Unfortunately for uThermal, though, a very quick Spire is going to be ready as that BC teleports in. So that first BC is going to have a window to do damage, but if it doesn't pick up a big amount, the Corruptors are going to shut it down very quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. BC halfway done. 2 extra factories going down for the 3 racks. Mech follow-up. Like Pig mentioned, it does go into Mech quite nicely. Bly's third gets spotted here by these Hellions. Can't really do anything about it just yet. I don't think he has an armory, so he can't make Hellbats. No. So
lovely wall
get
off.
deflected.
The Roaches and the Queen there say, nah. Hellion's going to have to back off, and it's such an awkward flow playing against this builder. I'll tell you as a Zerg player, you're like, whoa, this is such a fast double drop. Wait, there's Hellions now? And then you're going to see, now obviously he knows there's a fusion core. So he's going to immediately build Corruptors, I would imagine. Do we teleport in with this BC? or are we playing conservative? That BC's just chilling for now. All right, uThermal going to play it conservative. He's just going to force Corruptors out.
Okay. Yeah, leaving that tactical jump available there means the BC will very likely survive or at least pull back to the potential Cyclones, which is what uThermal, I think, is going to go for next. He does still have some anti-corruptor countermeasures, but they're all over here on the other side of the map and with 2 medevacs that are very bruised. So he doesn't really have any other way to deal with Corruptors other than that.
I love the choice to pull back with the drop now. He knows Corruptors could be an issue. The BC's going to go and try and chop the tip off this creep in the middle of the map, but doesn't want to risk the medevacs. They can't teleport to get out of there. Third base is up. Gas is going down. 2 tanks. Hellions building. Those other Hellions placed on the very top of the map. This BC actually going to come home and try and defend this Roach attack, and Muta's on the way, but continued BC production. I'm a little bit worried for Bly here. He's so far down in the economy, and it feels like uThermal is really just saying, you know what, let's set up the solid defense, and I know you're only on 2 base workers. What's the next step here for Bly?
I mean, at the moment, it just looks like mass Muta.
Do you think he banks them up? Or does he dive in this mineral line?
I mean, uThermal's kind of been just chilling on these BCs at the moment. He hasn't really made that many cyclones. He's not making any cyclones. He's making tanks. Yeah. What if Bly is making Corruptors? How do you stop them?
All right, the Muta's coming forward here. They are taking out the Hellions. That third was so late for Bly. He started to drone up behind this. He's going for an infestation pit, so I think he does want to go Nidus Swarm Host against the Mech. But 2 BCs, more than a match for these Mutas. Luckily, they go in just before Yamato was done. The tank's unfortunately not sieged. Oh, Medevacs, though, saying, hey, we can do that Warp Prism stuff too, man.
That's right. You can load things up, drop things out. You silly Zerg. So the Roaches are caught in the corner there, and they will go down, pay for it with their lives, get 3 SCVs worth of damage, maybe 4. Yeah, they get the 4th one just in the end there. And as we can see, Bly is just amassing mutalisks. He's about to go up to 15 mutas. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, 1, 2. We'll get 17. A few SCVs here and a tank, but a couple of Yamats go down and squash 2 mutalisks. 8 SCVs, though. Important damage.
Why does Yamatoing mutas not feel good?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Yamatoing Corruptors feels a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Because I see a VC Yamatoing, and I just notice myself like I'm screwing up my face, going, ugh.
It's like when you abduct a stalker into your army. You're like,
They're like, oh, I guess.
I mean, I killed a unit. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, chat's talking about edging right now, which might have been my fault. That's kind of, like I said, like the StarCraft 2 equivalent.
These Hellions just skirted around the edge, and they might be coming in with a big Bernie surprise there. Bly caught off guard, and his drones do end up getting butchered.
I don't want Bernie surprises.
The worst kind, man. I gotta say.
Friends. Be hygienic, guys.
Yeah. Oh, another Yamato goes down. Does get something.
And another tank kill there.
Medevac in a tank, yeah. And you know what? Bly here, he's so good at just going through this range. Now, the problem is, he's going up to 20 mutas with no upgrades against a guy who's building 3 Thors right now. That scares me. I watched the Raynor Marine Lord show match. Mutas against Mech, it's okay up to a certain point, and then when there's a certain number of Thors and or mines, mutas suddenly look shit.
Suddenly. Each Yamato is a dead mutalisk, so you do have that going for you. But on the counter side, Bly has also forced out a lot of minerals in turrets. uThermal's army is getting thinned out somewhat by losing these tanks, but the Thors are still healthy and they're still kicking in. I think a lot of Roaches here from Bly, which is definitely happening at the moment, is one of the scariest things when you're trying to get a big Thor count up. Is anytime you try and go across the map with a lot of Thors, a ton of Roaches actually just evaporate them.
Yes, yeah, Roaches do quite well. We can get on top. The Thors are all gonna kind of fire and do okay, but they need Hellbats in front. The thing is, sorry, there's interesting power spikes, right? Like, if you get 3 or 4 tanks behind the Thors, that's actually massive. But if you have no tanks sieged, the Thors are kind of shit. So just a couple tanks behind the Thors changes everything with the Roach vs. Thor maths.
Oh, we'll see how things go down, of course. Everyone's got the pieces of the puzzle. They just haven't put them together just yet. uThermal's been just rolling through the middle of the map there. The creep spread from Bly is sort of active. Not really. He just lost a bunch of active tumors in the north side of that creep spread. Dropping a bunch of Yamatos and then tactical jumping out of there. uThermal trading as well as he can with his air units of the Zerg. And, whoop, nearly loses battle cruisers. Doesn't lose any in the end.
Good
Bly
trade.
setting up a roach counterattack.
Oh, Hellions! Hellions in the natural. They just ran right through the middle using that distraction. Oh, uThermal's blue flame run bys, I swear they are always so well placed. Sometimes they run right through what should be the most defended area, but he knows that he's pulling his opponent out of position. And Bly's run by, it does something, but I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, I don't think it was anywhere near as much as what uThermal got done, especially considering what this cost Bly versus what that run by cost uThermal. 4 Hellions or 6 Hellions or whatever for that much drones. Yeah. Absolutely, you want that every day as a Terran. Zerg, not so much. Bly is also still rallying in more and more units, but I don't know about this, man. I think he's going to find diminishing returns.
I really want to see Neural Parasite. I think at this point, these numbers, the only way you win this game is Neural Parasite. The double upgrades are starting to kick in, so it's 1-1 upgrades against Carapace and nothing else on the way for Bly. When 2-2 kicks in, and we're looking at a maxed out uThermal army with many BCs in the mix, I'm just kind of afraid. I don't actually think the BCs will necessarily beat the Corruptors and the Muters, but it's the ground army that's the problem. Bly has such a shitty ground army, and it's not really improving at this point.
You know how Cyril's Lings always seem to be covered with some kind of oil, and they can just slip by everything and get damage done or get scouting done? uThermal might have that same oil slathered on top of his Hellions.
As you say it, 2 of them drive right past the Muta Pack. These ones will go down. But I really like this as well, that even individual or double Hellions, it just forces reactions. It costs you so little. Minerals aren't the biggest thing. You replace those with better units. He's actually going very heavy Cyclone right now. And I think the best thing about Cyclones is they're just so general purpose, right? And your opponent's on this air units to counter your BCs. Well, look at that.
Yeah, that's a good scan there. Nearly kills the Corruptor, but not quite. Anytime you can get that Cyclone ambush on the Corruptors, that's one of the best feels-good man moments as a Battle Mech player. The Corruptors actually can't escape.
There's certain things that get me very excited in StarCraft. One of them is Pathogen Glands finishing just before all the Infestors pop. And of course, does that double on the same unit? Might have been 2 Yamatos on the same unit.
I was just watching these roaches just die to these Cyclones and Taurs.
Yeah, they are getting dicked. And this is awkward. He's once again 11 Mutas are out. He's going up to 13 Corruptors, 7 Infestors. Cool. Gets 1 BC. A whole bunch of units get Yamato'd. But look, so many units are dying. Oh, the Fungal barely not getting down. They just started that teleport animation before. And there's just no ground army here for Bly. So Bly winning game 1 in a really nice fashion. This is a 90 SCV Terran. And this is a pretty small push on the north side of the map. So I guess it worries me that it could get stomped. But the problem is there's going to be more bases taken at the same time. What do we got? A pack of roaches. Neural Parasite is still nowhere near ready.
Man, that needed to be... I was with you, man. You need that yesterday when you're up against a guy that's committing to get like 4 or so BCs. It's super worth it to get it to just get rid of the BCs. Even help you out with the Thors in the Mech part later. Some Corruptors doing some P action on that command center at the gold. uThermal does lose it, but he's going to get some air units as a sort of a consolation prize. And this counterattack on the Zerg hatchery, man, that's a dead hatchery right there.
Yep. Fungal goes down. Fungal Bile on the BC. You know when you're fighting BCs with Ravager Bile and Fungal, you are in a bad spot. The Ravagers coming forward trying to fight their best, but all the Infestors are out of energy just before Neural Parasite's done. And uThermal here with a very nice game. Opened up with the very quick double Marine drop with a single Widow Mine. Went into BC Hellion Mech off the back of it. A cool style for Golden Wall. Gets himself a big advantage, and the BC is going to finish this one off.
He just killed all the Corruptors in the middle of the map with one more scan with those Cyclones. Got the ambush, got the kills. So the BCs are back on the menu, boys. There are Neurals here for Bly, but will they actually stop uThermal? I feel like the answer is no. It's a little bit too late, too little.
Yeah. Doesn't have the energy for it. The Infestors get scanned. And that's that. Going to tie up the series 1-1. There is a reason why we like Bly vs uThermal. Every game is very new. You know, we can get Denver and Seoul to play a best of 69, and they'll have 4 different games within those, you know, potential 30, 40, 50 games. Not really. Obviously, it's a lot more than that, but it's just the diversity exponentially explodes when you got players like Bly and uThermal that both are a bit more wild. They've both got large range in their strategies, and they're both very flexible. So, cool games so far, and map 3, Purity and Industry. Ooh.
The maps are wild here for this best of 3 against 2 pretty crazy players. But they have such a history, dude, together, Bly and uThermal. They've played each other so many times. we've cast them so many times just in this particular tournament in the American Weekly. Like, they just meet each other all the time. You always seem to see uThermal, Bly, Parting, and Clem a lot in this American Open. They're like the four players that I feel like are in the quarterfinals more often than anyone else.
We've cast it so many times at this point. It's actually insane. Bio, Mech, and what was it? And Bio, Mech, and Mutalisks is what I'm going to call this this series for YouTube. By the way, we like to capture the spirit of the series a little bit. I think this is a fun one. We'll definitely be putting up there. I don't get to see a lot of Purity in industry games. We see a lot of Golden Wall in this tournament. We see a lot of kind of like one player wants to veto Nightshade or Simulacrum lately. You know, the smaller action-packed maps. The other one wants to veto the Everdream, the Eternal Empire, the standard big macro maps.
Standard maps, yeah.
So it sometimes does end up on Golden Wall, but Purity in industry, it is a big defensive map as well. And despite it being a bit of a different layout, it does seem to get vetoed more often. So I'm very excited to see Game 3 play out here. Of course, it is best of 3. This map will close it out. In the right-hand side, droning up for now, it is Raise Your Edges, Bly on Fire.
And in the top left, as I finish chewing snacks.
I'll do it. It is in the red, hailing from the Netherlands, Team Liquid's uThermal. Snacks are
having some. I'm having one of those dry snacks that takes a while to chew. You know.
I feel that. What is it?
It's these Think Food Munch pistachio cranberry slow dry roasted nutritious things.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds good.
They are nice. They're very, very good. They're very healthy, but they just take a long time to chew, dude.
Yeah. Well, while you're chewing that, I am going to talk about the fact that I still haven't seen a Terran Floater Command Center over to this island on this map. Right. And it's upsetting me. In pro games, we need to see it happen more. It's not happening very much.
What's wild to me is I've seen Protoss and Zerg take that island more than I've seen Terran take it.
Why not take it as a 5th, I swear. I'd love to see it as like a sneaky 5th in an action-packed game. uThermal's doing the same build. This is such a cool build, by the way. This variation of the 1-1-1 double drop. It's so cool. Obviously, this build is so bad if your opponent's cheesing. Because you're like scouting pretty late. And you're like, well, I don't even have a Reaper. And I mean, you can get Marines out, but it's kind of awful. And you also don't have the flexibility to properly defend your natural mineral line. Because you're just building unupgraded Marines. No Hellions, no quick factory or starport. I mean, it comes down not too slow with the factory and starport, but it is a little awkward. I like that he's mixed the SCV scout in, even though it does slow down your minerals at the start, just adding a bit more comfort. And I think the BC tech switch following up, so the old days, the way BC Cutie used to do this, like I said, guys, it's a 3-year-old build, 3.5-year-old build. The way Gumiho just slapped DRG and a few other players in GSL with it at the time was double Liberator after the double drop, which is like this crazy follow-up where the drop would be running around being annoying and then 2 libs would like siege up mineral lines, or sometimes they'd group up and you'd see 2 libs siege the back of the main mineral line on a map like this, and the medevacs would drop in the lib zones, and the Zerg would be like, what the hell is this? That was a different time, of course. I can't imagine that would work too well against pro StarCraft players anymore, but it's kind of cool to see the BC into the Mech as the follow-up, and I'm really enjoying this style. I think I really want to see how the Mech plays out. And how does Bly adapt? He really got destroyed doing 2-base Muta last game. That's a very quick Bane nest, Maynard.
Yeah, Bly's going to go for the Baneling Bust here. I actually feel like it's a reaction, honestly, to seeing that fast reactor from the Terran. You're like, oh, there's no Hellions. Well,
yeah,
this is going to be easier to bust than with a Ling Bane Flood.
Well, you have no vision. So, like I said, any Ravager bust, any Ling Bane bust, like you can't defend your natural, even against Ling harassment very well, right? Even now, if a Ling Flood came in, they could surround the Marines and ravage this, right? So, I think uThermal doing the build twice in a row against Bly. Bly's already showing us it's a terrible choice. I cannot see uThermal winning this game. He's just got no scouting. There's a good chance he loads up, leaves the base, and that's when Bly comes in as well. Even if Bly hits before he leaves, you've got non-stim Marines. What can you do? I just don't see any way to win this game for Mark. I think Bly is just countering the build.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just one, like you said, it's an older build, and the Baneling Bust is honestly a even older build, but it just strangely works out in the fact that you can just punish someone for having nothing but Marines here.
The Banelings get on top. The Lings get the wraparound.
Yeah.
So yeah, that build has always been I hope I get away with this. You know, because if you build a bunker or full wall, it totally ruins the purpose of the build, which is to hit this crazy fast drop. And like I criticized in game 1, he was already about 20 seconds later than what the OG build was. The OG build didn't even have an SCV scout. You were like, fingers crossed, let's go. So it's always been I hope I get away with this. And Bly countering it. You can't do that build 2 games in a row. Bad luck there for uThermal. GG, well played. Bly shuts down the build and goes through to that next stage.
Yeah, he'll be in the semis. And we'll be facing the winner of Drogo and Parting, I believe. Just going to get the old refresh there. Yeah, Drogo Parting.